Yeah, let me introduce Mr. Bala, who is here for the Scrum intro. And Bala has over 2 decades of diverse experience in software product development, product management, and consulting in supply chain, intermedia, and analytics domain. Currently with Index Chennai as program director. Prior to this, Bala was with Yahoo for 5 years, heading media global delivery and R&D programs. Bala has over 12 years of rich experience in agile methodologies and practitioner, Agile coach, and Agile COE head. Have been instrumental in delivering business value with several large firms across globe with successful agile adoption and worked with industry leaders like Ken Swabab, co-creator of Agile Scrum. Thank you. We welcome Mr. Bala, and it's over to you. Thank you.
I'm really happy to be standing here and talking to you all. So let me share simple, one of the experiences that I had. That is my first meeting with Agile in 2003. In 2003, I was leading a development team for a supply chain product company in Bangalore. So that team had huge projects with Boeing, like any other software company under the globe, always work with Boeing. And we end up developing a lot of special features and special things for Boeing, and it became like a separate product line. And Boeing, at the same time, the features that was developed for the general market was getting much richer, and Boeing wanted to combine both, and they wanted best of both. And that is a project. And it was a 15-month-long project, and there's a heavy penalty clause. If you don't meet that 15-month deadline, there's a heavy penalty clause. And the team started working on it, and we started with a complete like a waterfall approach, and it is like a heavy front-loaded with a lot of analysis, with a lot of requirements gathering and everything. And out of the 15 months, some 4 months was spent by our team, and the project came to us. And we also got into that same way of working, and we spent another 3 months nowhere. 15 months, we've already spent like 7-8 months nowhere. And there's a heavy penalty clause. Okay, what to do? And then we got introduced to Agile, new way of working, and that is a kind of buzzword in way back in 2003. A lot of companies started following. And we started that, and we were successfully able to deliver the entire project in the remaining 7 months with the same set of people that we had. And towards the end, like we were not able to meet all the expectations, but Boeing was ready to waive off all the penalty and said, yeah, take 2 more months, it is fine, and they started seeing great results. It's all possible because in the first 6 to 8 months, we never really involved Boeing in the entire process. We once in a month, like kind of used to have a checkpoint in discussing the requirements and never went beyond that. The critical moment came when we started questioning what is the business value that's very important for the Boeing. And it's simple 80-20 rule. 20% of the features creates 80% of the value. It's very simple. And nobody has asked Boeing, and we're all used to the way of working, like something thrown over the wall, we catch it at any cost, we want to do all of that. That is it's a complete, we've gotten to the new way of working, and we're able to deliver business value every month, demonstrable, that Boeing can see. With that, 6 months, they're very happy, and they're ready to waive off. That's my first experience with Agile Scrum. And it's not as rosy as it sounds always. There are a lot of issues as well. Okay, and I want to share my experience in the next 30 minutes, probably in the next 25 minutes, to give you an understanding or flavor of what the journey is going to look like. And as with any major changes like this, like adopting Agile, you all know you're the masters of change management in every company. When you go and implement SAP, it's nothing but a change management within the company. Okay, you all understand the pain points. You all understand what is important to get the buy-in from the people so that the entire process goes smooth. That's very important. So the part that I'm going to do now is to give you good success stories as well as some of the learnings so that you're all set in the right direction for the Agile adoption. And when we started doing this, first meeting is a manager said, yeah, let's meet together from tomorrow. We are going to meet together every day morning, okay, and we'll have 3 questions to answer every day. So the entire team has to meet every day in the morning, and we have 3 questions to answer. And started asking, what have you done yesterday? What's your plan today? And what are you blocked with? Simple question. But the way you put together, the way you ask, really matters a lot. Okay. And it was very offending, a lot of people. It's really, even personally, I don't like if somebody asks me in the morning, very morning, like, what have you done yesterday? What are you going to do today? It's like too much of micromanagement. And people, nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. And it got really escalated. Then we were told, yes, we are following Scrum. We are following Agile Scrum. Okay. So the key is giving enough background on why we're doing this, what is the purpose of doing this. It's very important to understand. There are a lot of ceremonies, there are a lot of process inside. It's very important to understand why we're doing it and what is the value beneath that is going to drive you to the next level rather than just ceremoniously following all of those. Okay, that's one of the examples I gave you. And a stand-up can go either way. Like people may not like it. It might turn out to look like complete micromanagement. People may not like it. Way back in, or even before, 1990s and before, the software development was predominantly, or for that matter, any delivery was predominantly under, waterfall methodology because that was being followed, prescribed by Carnegie Mellon, and being used by all the defense companies and Boeing and Lockheed Martins and all those big companies were using it, and NASA. So that was the de facto standard, and people were following that. So even in the 90s and late 90s, waterfall was being predominantly followed. And as Maran was mentioning, that the level of abstraction is very high in the software industry, and definitely it's not going to succeed if you follow the same model here. And that's the period in mid-90s, a lot of methodologies started becoming popular in the way software is being developed and delivered. And the proponents of all those methodologies, they thought, let's meet together and to see what is common in all of those. Why are these methodologies becoming really popular? And when they came together, they found that there are 4 values which are common across all of those. Okay, I'm going to walk you through those, what are those 4 values in my next slide. Those 4 values become really driving factor for all those methodologies which are getting really popular. And you want some name for that, right? So they've named this as an Agile. Agile is nothing but an umbrella. Agile by itself is not a methodology. It's an umbrella which has got a lot of methodologies beneath, having all those core values met, all those four values. So the first one was Scrum, Agile Scrum, and then extreme programming. Then we got a feature-driven development, DSDM. There are a lot of methodologies beneath. But the most popular ones are Scrum and extreme programming and feature-driven development. Okay, but each one is for a special purpose. Each one is not can be used in place of Scrum, in place of XP. So each one has got a special purpose. The Agile Scrum is a framework for developing a software or delivering any service. It's your project management framework, I would say. And it doesn't tell you the best practices of how to write a code and how to have a build and how to test it. It tells you the best practice of managing your project or engagement. And then the other side, we got extreme programming, which is all about the best practices of writing a code and making a delivery. And then the other flavor is feature-driven development. It talks about how to break down your work into more manageable features and how to manage entire projects. It's a different dimension, like looking at the feature dimension. So each one has got its own plus and minus, And and recently, or not recently, really, like some 5-6 years back, people started combining best of both. People started using a Scrum plus some flavor of XP plus some flavor of FDD. Okay, so we're going to start with Agile Scrum, and probably we might use other best practices from other methodologies as well. So that's about the origin. And if you look at the pictures, right, what it means here is, in before 90s, the life used to be like this, like a relay race. People will run, the athletes will run, okay, and they'll change the hands, okay, and when the final runner is on, 3 of them behind has got no role to play. You have to just watch them running, you got no role to play. That's exactly the paradigm how it used to work in waterfall. When things go down and a lot of people may not have anything to do, and it's very difficult to bring in a change, or somebody, anybody to influence the success or failure of the project. The new way of working is the Scrum. Most of you would have are familiar with the picture. That's in a rugby game. That's a formation. Before any interruption happens before they start, that's a formation they get into. So that is totally different from the way we used to operate in a relay race, where interruptions are very common, and you cannot predict really everything. Still, the team has to manage and get the outcome done. That's a new way of working. That is Scrum. Okay, just to give you a flavor of how it used to be before and how it is, and that's the reality. And if we still believe that we're going to be working in the old methodologies of like 1990s, and where we assume things are stable, we assume everything is stable, and that's going to be disaster. So you have to quickly move to the new way of working and get yourself dirty on the field and ready for the next level. Okay, so these are the 4 values that was put together by the proponents of all the Agile methodologies. So, excuse me, it's not being a little looser. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so and it became the Agile Manifesto, which is guiding principles of any Agile methodology. I don't want to spend a lot of time in this, but I want to really understand the meaning of this. And first one was individuals and interactions over process and tools. So it doesn't say that individuals interactions instead of process and tools. And that's what many people are reading even now in the industry, instead of. And it's based on the convenience of the individual, based on the convenience of the function. If you don't want to do any documentation, if you don't want to follow certain things, we say we are Agile, we're not going to follow anything. It's not instead of, it is over, because the things on the top has more value over things in blue letters. That's how to read it. So let me give a quick example of individual interactions. By the way, Agile methodology is all about people. Okay, it's completely people-friendly, it's people-focused, and it empowers people, it gives freedom to the people, and it has a framework to listen to the people on a daily basis, on a periodic basis. What else you need? It's really, people will love that. And one example to quote where your HR director or HR head would be really happy is, I was responsible for a BU in one of the company where I started having Agile practices for a lot of those teams. And we had a great place to work survey in that particular year. And one pattern was very common. All the teams in my group had the best score above the average, above the company level and the industry level. We were beating all that. Okay, and then people started looking at what's happening, what is different with these teams. Because at the end of the day, it's all people. People have to be really happy, and people have to be, believe that what they're doing is helping them. And that was the result, right? Great place to work survey was a testimony of all that, the effort that we put in. So definitely it's going to help. It's going to help everyone and with that. Okay, so getting back to the individuals' interactions, let me give you a simple example. You will definitely have some process for testing, some process for filing a ticket, some process for somebody has to pick up and fix it. There will be a process in every company. what happens in most of the places, you might have high-rise walls where there's going to be a development team here, and there's going to be a QA team sitting on the other side, where I log a ticket and hoping that somebody will pick it up and fix it. That's the process says. You need to file a ticket, somebody will pick it and fix it. In Agile way of working, it's all about people sitting together and working together. And we don't even encourage people spending time on the wasteful activities like filing a ticket. We feel filing a ticket is a waste of time because once you file a ticket, you have to close the ticket, you have to do a lot of ceremonies. Even before filing a ticket, you have to come out of that. So it's the next thing is working software, and you understand that over comprehensive documentation is very important. Then the customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And one stark difference that I've seen in like late 90s to now is even the way the contracts are written is more towards Agile. It's not like one monolithic contract covering your entire 12 months or 15 months period. There are contracts written where once you hit the business value that what is expected by the customer, you can close the contract. It's win-win for both, and you can come out. So it's more of a collaborating with the customer rather than getting too deep into the contract negotiation. And then responding to change or following a plan. Having a plan is good, but sticking on to the plan is bad. So you need to constantly do planning all the time. That's what it means. You have to constantly doing the planning. It's not about just having a plan and sticking onto it for long time without looking at that or just blindly following it. I mean, it's a heavily loaded slide. I'm just rushing because I want to cover a few other areas as well. So I have a lot of examples for each one of those, but may not be able to cover everything. Okay. So just want to give you a flavor of what is Agile Scrum. To put it in a one-liner, Agile Scrum is nothing but a time-boxed, iterative, incremental delivery methodology. When I say time-boxed, it is time-boxed for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever the team decides. Otherwise, what will happen is if you don't time-box it, the work extends to fill the time, most of the case. That's why it brings in a discipline of time-boxing the delivery, and iterative and incremental delivery. There are two major important components in this. So one is the process itself, then the people, the set of roles that we have. The entire Scrum is based on inspect and adapt cycle, which is very important. Inspect and adapt cycle. Like how many times that we ask people on the ground level or like everybody on how they feel, what is blocking them, what can help them. I can challenge most of the companies may not be doing that. We stop at a level of some status reports and some weekly checkpoints and we never go beyond that. And this is a framework, and that's where the risk will be if you don't hear from the people, and that's where the risk will be. So this is a very, very powerful risk management framework, inspect and adapt. Okay, there are two cycles where we hear from the people constantly. One is on the daily stand-up. The next one is on, once you complete your delivery in that 2 weeks or 4 weeks, the time box. And we do a retrospective, where you look back for the last 2 weeks or 4 weeks on what had gone wrong, what has gone well, and hear from everyone. Okay, there's a lot of, these are powerful tools. Again, if you don't follow it, say properly with a lot of techniques, it can, and these principles are not like, it's not a rocket science. It's very simple principles. The problem with simple principles are, it's easy to drift away. And we might end up doing it in the wrong way. For example, if you have to do your daily stand-up, that's the example that I was giving you a few slides back, right? In a daily stand-up, we are all used to the command and control way of working. Command and control. Somebody will give a direction, we take the direction, and we execute. Even if you see on a daily basis the stand-up, the alignment of the people will be like, it will be like this. Then there will be leader standing there, and we all report to the leader, whoever is assumed leader of the group. That's not the way it is supposed to be. It has to be a circle, an entire team is not a status update. It's about sharing or seeking help on a daily basis. Sharing with each other on what they've done and seeking help from others. These are the core fundamental principles. If we don't get that correct, it might totally go in a wrong direction, where there'll be a leader and it'll be like command and control. People may not open up. So it's for the team. So there are a lot of finer aspects that has to be put in each of these phases to really see the power of this framework. Okay, and the very important is the team. Very important part is the team and the roles. Okay, and there are only two very important roles in the team. There's no AGM, there's no DGM, there's no director, there's no VP, there's no CEO. There are only two roles. Okay, as the team or who's not in the team. Very simple. When you get into the team, you have to chuck away all your business titles and everything. You're part of the team. And I've seen in large companies, people with really leadership roles, the minute they're part of the team, they're part of the team. And they have a job to do, they have a task to do, they do it. Okay. So it's very important to have the distinction very clearly that team and you're not in team. Not in team doesn't mean that management doesn't have anything to do. The very important thing that they have to do is to clear the impediments for the team, to set up a flow that they can keep. It's like your Toyota manufacturing systems, right? You have a flow running smoothly, and it's the job of the management and the people who are not in the team to make sure there are no impediments blocking them. That's the number one goal in eliminating waste. So, no business titles. When you're part of the team, you're part of the team. And that is very important, very kind of, it's a joke that we used to say is, pig and chicken wanted to open a stall, and they want to name the stall. And chicken said, let's call it a ham and eggs stall. Ham and egg, right? Chicken doesn't want to sacrifice, just want to lay eggs, and you want to sacrifice pig and call like ham and eggs, right? So what it means here is the team is everybody who's contributing heavily to the work called pigs, no offense, and the people who are not directly involved with the work, chickens. Okay, there's only two roles. Only two roles. And even during the stand-up, it's only the pigs or the people who are contributing who talk. Chickens have to stand outside the circle. And it's a very time-boxed activity again, like 15 minutes in the morning. You meet and share and seek for help and highlight the impediments and risk and move on. Otherwise, what will happen is many of the managers get in. I've been a manager for like long time, and I still have always pulled the manager's legs, right? So it's not an education session for the manager. Morning meetings is not an education session for the managers. Sometimes they come in, there'll be some updates. This guy's out of touch for some time. He'll ask some questions, completely derails the entire discussion. So if anything happens, it has to be outside of that 15-minute discussion. So a lot of finer aspects, and probably you'll go through all of that. We're going to have a full-time coach who will help you with all those processes. Very important to understand the finer aspects of each step. Only then you can unleash the real power. Otherwise, it will again get into command and control way of working and old way of working. Okay. Then that's about like two roles. Okay. Next is agile team. Team is very important. The team, I can spend probably like another 5 minutes on this because very important. More than any slide, I love this slide because the team is very important. Team is end of the day, team is going to do all the work. And when I landed here, I felt like I'm like an odd man here because everybody is in a real formal dress. And having spent like last some 6 years with Yahoos and startups, I gave my formal dressing, and this is as formal as I can get. Right? So I didn't realize that you'll all be in a full suit. And then, okay, in Agile team, things are very informal. Doesn't mean that you cannot come with your suit and everything. It is really informal, and there's no really like a strong structure which says this is the way you have to operate, but there's some framework. Okay, and it says that team is self-organized. The meaning of self-organized is you don't want somebody to be micromanaging you, and we want the leaders to tell you what is to be done. And then on how to do it, the team figures out. Team figures out, resolving impediments and identifying risks, and everything you figure out. That is the greatest situation to be in for any management, for anybody to move away from micromanagement, to have the empowerment, to have the freedom to decide how you want to do it. It's very important. And it's very easy to say self-managed teams, but it's tough to get in there. For any team, it definitely takes a couple of months to get into the cadence and rhythm of working a self-managed team. And the self-contained, when I say self-contained, we don't want to put together a team of, say, 7 people who can only do coding. I'm just taking coding example and development because it's easy for everybody to understand. We need a self-contained team that can make an increment of a delivery, of a release on their own, which means we need to have, starting from designer, starting from somebody who can product manager, starting from the team, tester, release engineer. You need to have the complete suite of skill sets available in the team so that they can make an increment. The whole point is to minimize waste again, right? We don't want to be running around so that it kind of prolongs your communication cycle, and we don't want to be, there'll be a lot of unknowns and there'll be a lot of risks. So that's the whole point about the Agile team, is about self-contained team. When you form a team for any task, make sure that you have a cross-functional team. You might have a lot of horizontal initiatives where you want to implement Agile. You might want something to do in your field, and you might get into a lot of new product developments. It's very important to have self-contained team, so the team can deliver on their own. And if you put together a team can do only just one part of the project, and definitely it's not going to work. So it's very important to have a self-contained team. And the transparency. Transparency is very important here. Okay, and most of you might know the story of an emperor wanted to have the finest silk made, okay, and silk material, and the weaver couldn't make it, but he made everybody believe that he made it, and there is a lot of sacred cows that you force people to believe that this is the way to operate, and everybody starts believing. The king was naked, but everybody said, "You're looking really great." Okay, there's one kid on the road. He said, Emperor doesn't have any dress. Okay, that is the kind of the foolishly, honest and transparent the attitude that we need from the team, which means we don't have any leader, we don't have any command and control in Agile teams. But you need somebody as an external facing, you need somebody to facilitate all of this, and we call that person a Scrum Master. Scrum Master doesn't mean that you have to be senior most person on the team. You have to be with some superstar status or whatever to be the Scrum Master on the team. It can be anybody. Okay, and in fact, what we do is who can ask questions, who can ask right questions. That's the only quality that we look for from the Scrum Master. Who doesn't fear, who can ask the right questions in the team. That's the only quality that we look for from the Scrum Master. Okay. And we also rotate people, right? Every 2 months, 3 months, we rotate people. That even somebody who joined from the college, like just a year or two into the company, they can become a Scrum Master and be responsible for the team of 9 or 10. That, by rotating it, right, everybody has been a leader, everybody has done the role, so you don't have the command and control in that fear. Again, we don't want to end up like a team where there were some, I'm talking about a cricket team where most of the players in the team were captains once upon a time, and they never want to listen to each other. Okay, you know which team that I'm referring to. So we don't want to end up in that situation where everybody played, Scrum Master role, and then it's a Pakistan. So if you don't want to double guess it. So everybody was a captain some point in time, and everybody is great, and nobody wants to listen to each other. That's not what we're trying to set up here by rotating Scrum Master. So it's to get the feeling of transparency and asking right questions. So how much time do I have? Okay. So this is one of the very powerful slides that I always like. So I've been part of the CMI level 5 companies, and I've been part of the startups. I've been part of large internet companies. So it's always a challenge when it comes to metrics, and it makes it even more difficult when it comes to CMMI, whatever the level of companies. And when I was setting up a center of excellence in a CMMI level 4 company, and nobody was ready to accept Agile. Or they said, you follow Agile, but you give me those 30 metrics that I'm looking for. And there can be a lot of metrics. There can be a lot of numbers. The fact is, those numbers are seen only by the person who creates it, or seen only by people like Ratna and Maran. Nobody else sees it. Nobody else tries to interpret what it means. That's the reality in any company. People who creates it, probably a process group, somebody puts together all those great metrics and present it to the execs. Nobody uses it. And then there's no value in having a number if it's not going to energize and drive the people. So in one of the projects that we've done in Yahoo, we've started using this simple metrics where it has to resonate with people. If it's not going to resonate with people, every time someone has to go and put a message to the team saying that we are in a bad shape, we have not covered the distance, we need to pull the weight, and somebody has to explain a lot to them. That's not the good situation to be in any Agile team. So the team has to know where they are and how much distance to cover, how they're going to cover it. So it's very important to have a simple, look at this powerful scoreboard. As a cricket player, you're on the field. If you don't have this scoreboard, you will not have any clue. And rather, if somebody presents complex statistics of all what's happening in cricket, that's not the players want to see. Players want to see exactly where they are and how much to go, and something like that, so that it will really help the players to pace their innings and how they want to play. It's very important. And then in Yahoo, what we've done is it's like any other company, right? Senior management doesn't care what methodology that you follow. Okay, it's always like a time-driven, time-bound, and then some date will be fixed, and it will come to you, and you have to hit it. That's the reality. Okay. Nobody wants to really understand whether you're doing Agile or not Agile. That's the reality. Sometimes you have to do it. An external commitment is made that a project will be delivered in 9 months from now, and the team was like a well-oiled team in working an Agile way of delivering things. So there's no issue. But one issue that we've seen is whenever things go wrong, whenever things are not in a good shape, it's always up to the managers to raise the red flag and try to energize the team and try to tell them what should be the next course of action. Okay, we want to change that. We said we'll go with the simple metrics that help team can understand. So we came away from all the schedule variance, effort variance, and all those numbers. We said required run rate, what's the current run rate, and what's the required run rate. We started using exactly the number that people can understand on the ground. Okay. So out of the 9 months, we had say close to some 16 sprints that we have to do to get the things done, and we are almost 10 sprints we are done. But the output that we expected from the 10 sprints was definitely the speed was not that as what we expected. So there's a lot to catch up. There's a lot of work remains to be done. Okay, and the best part was the team can see that. The team can see that the required run rate is like increasing, and the capacity, like how much they can hit, is like this, and the required is increasing. And you know that in situations like that, either you need a super great batsman to hit only sixes, or you pray for the rain, whatever, and Duckworth-Lewis rule to come in. Something has to happen for some miracle so that you reach the goal. So the team was able to understand. They know the required run rate, they cannot meet it. So that is the real turning point in the way how we want to think. Is so far the team was operating in a mode of the requirements mode. Most of you would understand when I say requirements mode. Somebody writes a requirement, probably 3 months back, 4 months back, they pass it on to you, and we take the requirement, and the tendency that we have in an onshore-offshore model is, I'm not sure how it works in consulting, but in a product development setup, we are an onshore and offshore model, and we want to, at any cost, we want to prove that we can do it. Okay, so something is given to you, at any cost, you want to do it. Okay, and that's the point where the team felt, we have to work in a different style. We have to work in a different style. Only then we can make it. Otherwise, we're not going to make this timeline. Then they started questioning. That's a very important aspect. They started questioning very important piece. That is moving away from the requirement mindset into the what is the need? What is the need of it? That's very important. I'll give you an example. So that is basically a technology migration from one technology to new technologies, a lot of enhancements. So a set of pages in Yahoo Finance when we were migrating, the people were really putting their heads together, all the estimations, everything was done to make sure the way exactly it's available in the old stack, they want to implement it here. Okay, but the need is totally different. The need is not that you follow exactly the same. So when they were pushed to the back of the wall, right, and they started realizing it has to be a new way of doing it. They started questioning. Then one junior-most guy in the team came up with the idea or started questioning these principles. They say, yeah, let's do it in a different way. Okay, and then the team re-estimated. They checked with the business stakeholders. They are fine with that. And whatever the remaining, the work estimated to be done in say, 3 months, the team was able to do it in 1 month. It's not that they are superstars and they're got the greatest techie guys in the world. They were able to move away from the requirements mindset, always do whatever is given to you, then ask questions. That's exactly what they've done. That helped them to deliver it faster. So again, it's not a rocket science. Scrum is not a rocket science. It's about people. It's about how you organize yourself, how you operate together, how well you understand each of the reasoning behind why we're following this. That will make it really helpful. Yeah. And as I said, Agile is all about people. Agile is all about people, and this is a way of life. This is a way of life, and it's all in your hands. You and the way of working, it's all in your hands to make that possible. And we need to have a buy-in from everyone. To have a belief, then everything else works on time. So we have a short video to show, okay? And this video is from All Blacks New Zealand rugby team, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the rugby game, especially with All Blacks New Zealand. And when they start the game, they do a ceremony. It's called you will see that. Okay. So the reason I'm showing that is it's totally different from just imagine a 5-day test match cricket team getting into the field and warming up, and they probably take some 4 hours to warm up to get their hands out of the pocket and start really running. And look at this team how they start the game. They are ready to cut through any obstacles. They're really charged up, and they're ready to take on the goal. Okay. I just want to close the session with just a short video. Have fun.
Leading tonight's haka will be Captain Tim Bateman, because Pitiwipu, who would normally have led it, he's gone home with an injury. Captain Tim Bateman will lead it, and he'll actually have for the first time a greenstone called the Maori. And we'll listen up as it happens now.
And thank you all for the wonderful opportunity. It's my privilege to be standing in front of you and talking to you. Thank you.